Good afternoon. I nearly said good morning, but we're just going into the afternoon. It's lovely to be here with you. So my name is Stella, and I am from Soul Space Unlimited. I've done a few sessions on the lovely Royal Voluntary Service Virtual Village Hall before. So I do a bit of Qigong, sometimes a bit of EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. And today we're going to be doing some creative well-being. So I'll explain a little bit about what that entails, what we'll explore together today. But please know that it's really, really gentle. It's about bringing a bit of creativity and wellness together. So we'll be focusing on some of the benefits that that creativity and getting arty can have. But it's not about creating a masterpiece. So please don't worry if you feel I can't draw, which is what I hear all the time. Please don't worry about that. That's not what this session is about. This wonderful week that the Virtual Village Hall are putting on around mind space, all these times and opportunities to connect. This is just a time, a moment for you to settle in, to get a bit playful and to be guided. So it's quite hard to motivate ourselves to do a bit of creativity or even to take care of ourselves, to do a bit of well-being, self-care. So it's really nice to have these sessions so you can be guided in a nice, supportive, gentle way. Okay, so all you need for the session is some paper, ideally some plain paper. Doesn't really matter what size, you can work to whatever you've got. It really is a case of working with what you've got, so don't worry if you haven't got exactly what I'm saying. So I've got some colour pens here, which is ideal. Really, you do need some colour pens today, but the imagination is a wonderful thing. So if you're like, oh, I don't have colour pens, I only have pens, pencils, that's okay in a way. You can use your imagination, but ideally we have some nice colour pens, and that's really simple. That's kind of all you need. I would encourage you to have a drink, a cup of tea, coffee, water, whatever's going to help you feel comfortable. It really is important that we are as nice and comfortable as we can be for the session. Okay, and yeah, that's it really. So I'm going to support you to relax a bit more, to relax into the session. So shortly we'll do like a grounding meditation. We'll explore some different colours in that meditation, and it will help us to set the scene to feel as comfortable as we can and open up. So open up that creative part of the brain, so we can flow a bit more into some mindful mark making. And that's generally how I help people to warm up for these sessions. So mindful mark making, mindfulness, drawing, coming together. We'll just do some warm up exercises together just for you to let go of some of that tension that you might be carrying and just to make some marks on the paper initially. And the idea is that it doesn't matter what they look like, and that helps us get some of that. If there is any sort of expectations or nervousness about getting creative in the system, then we can help that. We can relax into it. You might not feel any of that. You might be raring to go, and that's great too. Okay, so I invite you just to take a few seconds, minutes to make sure you've got everything that you need around you. Okay, and we're just going to begin to settle into the body a little bit. So if at any time in this session you feel a bit overwhelmed as we explore the different parts of the creativity and the well-being around some emotions and feelings in the body, you might feel that that is a bit overwhelming for you, and that's okay. Just make sure you take good care of yourself. So the beauty of these sessions is that you could always hop off and then come back and rewatch it later. But yeah, the main thing is that you know yourself, you know your body, you know if you do need to take a moment, then that's natural. I will look over the comments. I know the lovely team at the Virtual Village Hall do too. So if you've got any questions throughout the session, I'll be hopping on after to look over, and I'll look again later. So please share your feedback. Please share any questions, any thoughts. So we're here to check those out and to support you to make sure you're okay. Okay, perfect. So making sure you're as comfortable as you can be. And if it's comfortable to do so, it's best to close your eyes. I know it's not comfortable for everybody, but I invite you to close your eyes and take some nice deep breaths. The thing about these breaths is that we want them to be intentionally nice, deep belly breaths. So quite often a lot of us are doing shallow breathing from the chest. And we do that when we feel stressed or anxious or tense. But the issue is that makes us feel, obviously that's not good anyway, but then it will make us feel more anxious, more stressed, more tense. So just becoming aware of that, if that is an issue for you. And inviting your body to take those nice deep breaths. So you expand your belly when you breathe in. When you reach the top, you just let it all go. So when I say the top, I mean the top of your breath. It can help to imagine it's like a mountain. I've heard somebody say this. So you expand your belly, your breath comes up that mountain. And when you reach that top, you just let it all go. A nice long breath out. When you reach the bottom, you do it all again. Okay, so just let that flow of that natural breath. Might be like slowing it down a little, making it nice and deep. It just helps you to soften to this session, this experience, to let go of some tension. But it's not about getting your breath right or wrong. If that is a challenge for you, then just acknowledge that. And just breathe as naturally as you can. Okay, keeping your eyes closed. Just let your body soften a few percent. So your shoulders, let some of that tension go. We can't rush the body, but softening in tension, just a few percent of softening at a time is enough for change. It's enough to help us to relax, to shift our energy into this space. And if you've got any thoughts coming in or any distractions, the outside world, just acknowledge them. Try not to make them wrong. Perhaps they're like the weather. You can just acknowledge, see them float in and watch them float away. And it helps to bring your attention and your focus back to your body, back to your breathing. And if for various reasons it's uncomfortable for you to focus on your body, to do this mindfulness exercise, that's okay. I encourage you not to force anything. We can do a body scan, and if we're uncomfortable to focus in on the body and what we're feeling, you can do a sort of quicker scan and just go over any areas that feel a bit much. It's really important that you are comfortable, that you feel safe, and that you take good care of yourself. Okay. So we're just going to begin to do that body scan, and we start at the top of the head. And we allow ourselves to just begin to focus on the very top of the head. Continuing nice, natural breaths. Focus on your eyes. Just notice your eyes. Become aware of the muscles around your eyes. Any movements that your eyes are making. Become aware of your nose. Become aware of the very tip of your nose. Becoming aware of your cheeks, your mouth, your neck, perhaps relaxing some of the muscles in your neck. And noticing your shoulders. Just seeing if your shoulders want to soften a few percent more. Just notice, become aware of how your shoulders feel. And you're not judging, you're just witnessing, just noticing. And following this scan down your arms, your biceps, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, perhaps becoming aware of even the space in between your fingers, flowing back up into your shoulders and down deep into your chest. Really focusing on this area, your chest. It might be that you notice the rise and the fall. It might feel open or a little tight. Just notice how it feels and breathe into it if you can. Remembering that you can just scan over any uncomfortable areas if it feels too much. This scan can flow down into your abdomen. And I invite you to soften your abdomen just 1 or 2% more. And perhaps we can pause here with some gratitude. Think about everything our stomach does, digesting all of that food, breaking down all those nutrients so our body can get what it needs. Be grateful. And this scan can flow down through the hips, the thighs, noticing your knees, noticing your calves and shins, ankles, feet. And perhaps your feet are touching the ground, nice and firm. Perhaps they're off the floor. However you are sitting and positioned, just really notice your feet. And if you're somebody that for a reason regarding health or a disability isn't able to feel your feet or your legs or any part of your body, just notice that. Just allow yourself to do this scan in whatever way feels good and true to you and your body. And allowing this scan to become more like a wave, and that wave begins to flow around your body. And it's just beginning to happen and to build this wave of relaxation, this wave of calmness, of flow and curiosity. You might see some colours with this wave. Some of those colours might seem bright, uplifting, and some might seem more moody or darker. Perhaps they're all mixed in together. Or maybe for you it's just a feeling. You might even hear the sound of this wave washing over your body. Everybody's mind has its own way of opening up to creativity, to these sensations in the mind, in the body. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes, nice deep breath. And just know that there is no way to rush yourself to relax. The easiest way to let go a bit is to soften the body, that few percent. Sometimes people say I'm not very good at meditation, and I can totally relate to that. I think we think it's something we need to perfect, but it's really not. It's not. There's different ways that you can meditate, and it might not be the traditional way. We can enter a meditative, struggle to say that word, a meditative state at different times in different ways. It might be a form of moving meditation, like walking. Today, we might enter a bit of a meditative state through some of our drawing. So it's nice to open up the mind instead of thinking we can't do meditation a certain way. For example, if you did find that hard, then it's very natural. And perhaps there's another way that you can invite some more stillness and peace and calm into your life. You know, what works for you. But hopefully that did help you to relax, to feel nice and calm and ready. So, paper. To begin, I'm going to give you some super simple instructions. So we're just going to choose a pen, ideally a colour, but it doesn't have to be. Pen, pencil or colour. At this stage, it's less important about the colour, but just choose something you'd like to begin with. Okay, and super simple. To begin, I just want you to start with your pen on one corner of your page, and I want you to get to the other corner of the page, the far corner. So you can start up here, for example, and you're going to want to get down all the way here, but you want to do it not a straight line. So you're not allowed to do a straight line. There's a rule. So we want you to do squiggly, swirly, up and down, spiky, whatever comes to you. Try not to overthink it. And you want to keep your pen or your pencil on the page. So ideally, you don't want to lift it off. Again, if that happens, that's okay. But you don't want to lift it off. You want to keep it in contact all the time. And you're just getting from one corner, doesn't matter which corner, from one corner to the other corner. So one end of the page to the other. You want to do it gently, slowly. You don't want to rush, so you don't want to go. You want to do it nice and slowly. So this is helping you to calm things down, to slow down, and to begin to get a bit playful. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So nobody needs to see it. It's just a case of you having a bit of a play. So I invite you now to have your pencil at one end of the paper, and just to begin to make marks. Remember, try not to lift the pen off the page, and any shape, any line goes. It can go over each other. You can go backwards, forwards, to the side. There's no rules other than one end of the paper to the other, and ideally not lifting your pen or pencil off the paper. And you just need to get to the other side, and I'll let you know when I've got to the other side. And if you can continue to make marks for as long as I am, then that would be really great. Quite often people really want to speed this and do it quickly. So that's why we're just beginning to see what it feels like, just to get playful, to slow down a bit, and to just make some marks. There doesn't have to be a really short outcome other than reaching the other side. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So often we get caught up in what things look like, how things are meant to go, having a goal, purpose. Just see what it feels like for you to let go of that a little. Just get a bit creative. And if your page is super full of marks, doesn't matter. I'm going over and over. And I'm just now, as you can see, getting to the other end. So I invite you to stop now. To show you what I've made. So that was my creative sort of dance across the page, I suppose. I'm curious about what you have in front of you and how you feel about it. So this is just it's about, I think part of it is about letting go of always having to be doing, and there to be a purpose and an outcome, and productivity. This word productivity can feel really important, but actually it's really important, and this is how I interpret, this Mindspace week. It's really important that we do have space in our life, space to just be, because it's in that space where different possibilities come in, new ideas. When we're struggling with something, we need space in order to let a resolution come in. If we're just bombarded and overwhelmed, which happens a lot because we live in an age of information, it can be very overstimulating. There's lots of opinions, lots of information, and sometimes it can mean there's not enough space for us to have this creative flow, for us to have this opening, to rest, to relax. So this is what we're doing, what we're inviting in. And it might surprise you what comes through in terms of the creativity today. It might just be a nice thing for you to do. We don't have to have big expectations because it's not about being productive. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side for now. We might come back to it. And another piece of blank paper. So again, we're just playing with warming up exercises with the drawing. So it can be a pencil, pen, colour pen, doesn't matter. And for this one, for this one, we're going to begin to connect with some waves. So at the beginning, we did that meditation, thinking about the waves of relaxation around the body. And I picked up a pink, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to go for a blue for the waves. So this time, we want to fill this paper with waves. And these waves could start small, and they might get bigger. They might begin nice and calm and gentle waves, and then they might get bigger. Perhaps there's a storm. So we're just going to play with that. And I'd like you just to get a bit comfortable with making these waves. And then we'll do another wave exercise that will be a bit more guided. But for now, just get a bit playful and comfortable with creating these, can't get the lid off, creating these wave shapes. Remember, it doesn't really matter. Nobody needs to see it. It doesn't matter if it looks like a wave. Anything goes. So you don't have to start at a particular place on the paper this time. You've just got this paper in front of you, and we're just going to fill it with some waves. Okay, and again, I'll let you know when I finish. There's a guide for you. If you want to go a bit longer, or if you finish sooner, it's okay. But remember, you don't want to rush. You want to make it nice and gentle and slow. So to begin, you will make your marks quite slow, and we're just going to make some waves. So just begin making some waves on your paper. We're just filling the paper with waves, with this idea of water. And you might think of the ocean. You might think of a river, whatever you think, but it's nice and it's calm. We're just filling the paper. And I'll just show you. Mine doesn't particularly look like waves at all, but that's what I'm doing. It might just be a nice flowing up and down motion. Remembering that it doesn't matter what it looks like. I just want you to sort of connect with that motion, that rhythm of the waves, and that element of water in nature. So one of the beautiful things about waves is that they come and they go. They flow up and down, back and forth. They're kind of eternal. We know that the waves, the water will keep coming. Sometimes the waves are bigger, sometimes they're smaller. But for now, we're just filling the page with these nice, relaxing, calm waves. And try and clear your mind of anything. If you've got any distractions, thinking about what you're having for dinner, that's usually my distraction. Whatever's going on for you in your life at the moment, try and clear your mind. Just bring your focus back to this mark making, this mark that you are making on the paper in front of you. Okay, I've finished. So just fill the paper, all these sort of waves. Okay, you can keep the same colour or change, or whatever you're using, it's fine, doesn't matter. Now we're gonna do some waves. Now you've got a bit more comfortable with that motion, connecting with the waves. I'm going to sort of instruct you or guide you when the waves are small and when they become bigger. Okay, so just pen to paper again. If you can keep that contact and not lift off, that's great. I think that helps it be a mindful experience. We're going to start at the top, and we're just going to start making these waves. And again, I'll let you know when I finish my paper as a guide for you. But you can close your eyes. So remember, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So if your eyes are closed and it's a complete mess, then that's okay. Maybe that could be quite enjoyable to get a bit playful like that. So eyes open or closed, and I'm just going to guide you through this. So the waves, they're starting nice and small. They're just floating, just flowing up to the shore. Really gentle waves, perhaps even more gentle than the ones you were doing before. It's a really nice, gentle sky. We're imagining that we're at the beach. For you, you might even be able to really feel the sun on your skin, watching and hearing the waves gently roll up, gently roll back. Are there seagulls? Is anybody else here on this beach with you? Or is it just you? But those waves, they roll up, they roll back. You're just creating these gentle waves on the page. Okay. Now you notice the sky is getting a bit darker. It seems there's a bit more energy. The wind starts to pick up and those waves start to get bigger. So you start to make those marks on the page bigger waves. Just notice how it feels for you to start taking up more space, creating bigger waves. Remember to keep breathing. Mind the body to be as soft as it can throughout this exercise, letting go of a few % more of tension. Okay. And then the waves start to get calm again. They're nice, they're soft, they're gentle, but they're still rolling up and rolling back, side to side on this page. Start to get big again, but this time the storm is even bigger. The storm is really picking up, so those waves start to get really big. Remember, it doesn't matter if you cross over different marks and go back on yourself, that's absolutely fine. So I'm making huge, big waves all over my page. And there might be water splatting all over the place. Probably quite messy, frothy. Deep breath. Now it's getting a bit calmer again, and the waves begin to become more gentle. Just flowing from side to side. If you're like me, it might help to float side to side as you do it. Just really connecting with the rhythm of the waves, of the water, the rhythm of nature, that ebb and that flow, the back and the forth, the up and the down. Okay. I mean, mine's just a complete chaotic mess. So hopefully we've got a page full of all these different waves, soft, strong, gentle. So hopefully you're coming to see that it really doesn't matter what the result is, that there's something about having a blank piece of paper quite often is intimidating. There's something about being empowered to make a mark on it. You know, like I say, you might be confident, you might be somebody who does this stuff a lot, so you might feel that that's not a thing for you, but a lot of people find that this can be quite intimidating. They don't know where to begin or sort of what to create. So hopefully you're getting to see that just some gentle warm-up exercises like this that allow you to let go of expectations are a nice exercise. Maybe you can invite some more creativity into your life. Maybe make some time every week to just get a bit more creative. Okay, so now we're going to take the first page that you did. So this was my first one, which was just about getting from one side to the other. Now we're going to add a colour. So this is a point. If you don't have colours, then just use whatever you've got and use your imagination. You might like to choose what colour it would be if you could choose any colour. But for those that have colours in front of you, choose whatever colour you fancy. It really doesn't matter. And we're just going to I can get the lid off. We're just going to begin to colour in some of the parts of this image. So as you can see, I've got you know, some different areas that I can colour in. You've probably got something that looks very different. It really doesn't matter. But you're just going to start adding a different colour or a different sort of mark or thickness, just something different to the page to make it appear changed. So that's what we want to do. We're starting off with this and we want to just add something to it. Doesn't matter what, really. Just add something that's going to make it look different. So I'm going to start by colouring in some of these different areas, adding some different colour. And it doesn't have to be Doesn't have to be really big. You could just do something really small. We're all different. And just start adding your other colour, your pen or your pencil, to your image. If you can colour in a part of a shape that you created on it, you can begin to make these marks that you created on this page when you were just trying to get from one side to the other. You can begin to add like a new dimension, something new, a different colour, adding to it, colouring a shape, whatever feels good for you. There's no right or wrong. So that's what I've done. Okay. Remembering to just do nice deep breaths whilst you're doing this. Sometimes we hold our breath when we're concentrating. Sometimes we just picked up these bad breathing habits. Speaking from experience, it's something I've had to work on, so it's really good just to remind ourselves, nice flowing breath, kind of like those waves, as we're colouring in or adding marks, different points. And if you've not got colours available to you, maybe you focus on the thickness of your marks. So whether you've got a pen or a pencil, you can begin to create thicker lines in comparison to, in contrast to any soft marks. How can you add some kind of opposite to this page? So my marks started off like a dark purple, almost black colour, and I'm adding a bright orange, and I'm colouring in different bits. So it's adding a sort of contrast, something really different. If you want to pick up a different colour and start doing something different, or a different utensil, please go for that. We'll just do a couple more seconds, a few more seconds of this before we begin to move on to something else. Okay, I know that's not very long, but you can, like, if you're into that, continue it later. So I'd like just, you to consider whatever you are looking at in front of you now. You started off with something blank, you had no idea what you were going to make, and you created something. You put marks onto a page, and that's something that can be acknowledged. That's something that can be celebrated if you feel like you want to, or it could just be a silly bit of fun, and that's okay too. All right. So now we're going to go in a bit more to some emotions that we might have, and this is a part where, so it's a bit of connecting with the body, connecting with emotions, and exploring it. But we're going to do it in a really safe, gentle way. So I do this sort of gesture with my hands, sort of holding this space for you through some of that grounding meditation. So remembering that if at any point you feel connecting with these emotions is a bit much, take some nice deep breaths. You can take yourself away, you can pause, you can just breathe and soften the body. Just let yourself be where you are and feel what you can. But you don't need to push yourself. If anything's overwhelming, then please take all the time you need. But we're just going to go into this really gently. So we're going into some emotions very lightly. We're not going to dive into anything. We're going to pick some kind of surface level stuff, surface level feelings, emotions that we're feeling. And sometimes it's hard if we feel a bit disconnected. Sometimes it's hard for us to connect with an emotion. So in that instance, I invite you to guess. Okay, so just close your eyes if it's comfortable. Take some nice deep breaths. Softening the body that few percent. Just noticing your curiosity or even your impatience about this, about what you're going to make, finding out what's going to happen. Just acknowledge it, whatever's going on for you. And I want you to pick an emotion. It might have been around for you for the last few days. You might have just woke up with it this morning. Perhaps it's something that is an emotion that comes up for you a lot. Or perhaps you can't connect with a feeling or an emotion, and that's okay. Don't make that wrong. That's okay. You can work with whatever you're feeling. Perhaps it's a numbness. Perhaps it's yeah, it's a not knowing, and that we can work with that. So I'd like you to just allow that emotion to drift up to the surface a little, nice and gently. Nice soft waves, soft rhythm, bringing that emotion up. And I say emotions, so we have the most obvious emotions that come to us, like anger, sadness, happiness. Obviously, there's far more complex feelings and emotions we have. So it might be a feeling, like a feeling of tiredness or frustration. So don't get too caught up in these rules. Really just see what comes up for you and trust that. I'm going to support you to release it, to get it onto the page a bit. Okay, so whatever's floating up for you into your awareness, I'd like you to link it with a colour. So if this feeling, this emotion, this thought has a colour, what would that colour be? And if you have a few colours come to you, just choose one. Choose one that feels the most prominent. And if you're somebody that doesn't see colours, can't visualise, then that's okay too. You can just focus on that emotion floating up and its qualities, its texture, how it feels, how it seems. And just soften your body, take some nice deep breaths. If your feet are touching the ground, really connect with that. Anything that helps you feel in the moment, grounded. Okay, now choose a colour, the one ideally that came to you if you've got it in front of you. If not, choose the closest one that you can find. And you can just write the word of the emotion that came up. You can write that anywhere on the page, it doesn't matter. I'm going to write it in the middle. So the feeling that came up for me was feeling tired. So I'm just getting over maybe a bit of a bug. So I feel really tired. That's what I'm going to sort of focus on today. Remember, it could be a feeling, a thought, or an emotion. I'm just writing that with this colour on that page in front of you. Okay. Now I'd like you, again, it might help to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to get a sense of this feeling, this emotion, this thought. If you could give it some kind of presence, some kind of imagery, is it big? Is it small? Is it round? Is it a dot? Is it a square? Is it spiky? So just explore that in your mind for now, this feeling. You know, you might have felt it come up in your body. Quite often when we connect in, we get a sense of a texture, like a material. So basically, we just want to allow ourselves to get really curious about that, about what's come up, and to begin to give that as much description, imagery as possible. So my tiredness, I've written that word down in front of me, and I'm also going to begin to give it a shape. So I'm choosing, it kind of feels like it's a ball, it's like a ball of tiredness. So I'm going to begin to create a ball, just squiggling. So whatever comes to you, whatever shape you can give to that feeling, that thought, that emotion, remembering there's no right or wrong. And if this is a bit challenging at first, that's okay. It's natural. But whatever form comes on the paper, you don't need to overthink it. You could just guess what shape it might be. That's enough. Okay, but mine feels like this big, sort of tired, heavy ball. Okay, so that's what I started with. Remember, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Now I'm going to think of some descriptive words. So perhaps 3. Maybe we'll go for 3 descriptive words. And those words are about what that feeling feels like. So the tiredness for me, it's quite heavy. So that heaviness in your body when you feel tired. And it feels quite big. So it feels like it's filling. You know, it's a heaviness that's sort of filling all my body today. And it feels like the colour is dark. So I picked a dark green. It feels quite dark. So I've got those 3 descriptive words: heavy, big, and dark. So I'm just going to write those down. So I invite you to do the same. Take a few seconds, minutes, just to think of your own 3 words that describe this feeling that's come up. And just write them on the page. Couldn't remember my own words then. Okay. And you can write that however you want to, doesn't matter. Cool. Okay, and not close your eyes again if it's comfortable. Nice deep breaths. Now, if this feeling, this thought, this emotion for you, if it had a name, a label, a name, what would it be? So it could be a name like a human name. It could be a label like anything. It doesn't have to be smart or clever. So, for example, my tiredness, I might name it this part of me, this feeling, I might name it, I don't know, Betty. Or I might decide to give it a label of heavy. I might use one of those descriptive words. Or I might label it annoying. Sometimes we have these thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are annoying. If that's what it feels like, or it might feel scary. It might feel good. We might be exploring more uplifting feelings and emotions and thoughts. So perhaps it's like sunshine. Whatever comes to you, there's no right or wrong. If nothing comes, that's okay too. But if something comes to you like a name, a label, this part, this feeling that's come up in you, this part that is in there somewhere that's just coming up to the surface today, we're just going to help it to clear. And by doing that, we're giving it different descriptors, and different elements on the page. Okay, so that label, that name, just write that down on the page in front of you. Okay, again, a nice deep breath. Now, for those that have colours, I'd like you to choose another colour. And this colour, again, is about representing this feeling, this thought, this emotion that's come up in you. So if when you imagine there was another colour as well, or perhaps one just jumps out at you right now. So I've chosen purple. And we're just going to begin to really explore that on the page. And I would like the goal to be, so whatever you've created on this page in front of you, I want you just to fill the page with that. So, for example, you might repeat the words over and over and over just to get it out. Quite often we're suppressing and pushing these thoughts, feelings, and emotions down, whether they're what we would consider more positive or negative. It's all just energy, it's all just emotion, which is why I'm doing this. We just need to let it flow as much as we can. A lot of practices like mindfulness suggest that when we hold on to things, when we hold on to different emotions, or we really fight them, that's when they get stuck, that's when blocks occur. But if we can just acknowledge them, let them flow through, then they'll clear much quicker and we'll be in a better state of well-being. So this is part of what this creative flow is about. So we're just going to fill the page. So this ball that I've made might get bigger and bigger and bigger. I might add lots of different marks, lots of different colours. Like I say, repeating those words, adding any other words that come to you. So I started with the word tiredness, and I'm just circling it. I'm going to write it. So I'm going to keep writing the word tired. And I'm just going to fill this page with all my feelings, all my imagery, all my colours, those describing words. I'm just going to fill that page with my feeling of tiredness. So it's a bit frustrating for me. So I'm going to write the word frustrating. And that frustration feels quite jaggedy. It feels quite like frustration isn't smooth to me. It's very bumpy, jaggedy, like so I'm going to make some spiky marks. Hopefully this is beginning to get into it. It might take a little time, but begin to get a bit more clear. So you're just filling that page in front of you, all around what came up for you. And it might evolve and change and move. It might become something else, and that's okay. There might not be any words, it might just be marks of that jaggedness or that smoothness. If it's uplifting, perhaps, yeah, uplifting marks, what would that be like to you? Sun, or it might be quite flat, if you're feeling quite flat, a bit low or very low. These marks might be representing that. Okay. Keep going, you can choose another mark, another colour before we finish this exercise. Okay. Remembering if you gave it a name, a title, you can explore that. Okay, my ball of tiredness is it's kind of getting bigger, but as I said that, I thought, well, but it will get smaller, like I know it will pass. So in our next page, we're going to explore that a little bit. Okay. And just finish up whatever you're doing on this page. Nice. So this is my tiredness. This is how I've expressed my tiredness on this page in front of me. It doesn't have to make much sense. Somebody else that feels tired would have something completely different. But this is what's come up for me. The heavy, the big, the dark, the frustration, the spikiness, the big ball. Okay. Double blank page. If you run out of paper, then you could just turn over, or you can just go on top of what you've been doing, remembering it doesn't matter what it looks like. So that's not an issue. But another piece of paper. And this time we're going to mix in some different things together. So we started off with that sort of one thing, and we're going to begin to, again, closing the eyes. That will probably help. Take some nice deep breaths. So we're just going to imagine that sort of wave, that feeling, that emotion, thought, feeling that's come up to the surface. We're just going to connect with that for a moment more. And we're just going to see what else might come in with it. So it might be that you had a certain feeling. There might be a thought that goes with that. Or it might be that you have a certain emotion and you think that there's another emotion that is linked to it. So very, very rarely ever are these things in isolation. Everything's connected. And if we go by that philosophy, everything's connected, then it makes sense that something else would come up with it, would be connected. So it might be a word, might be an emotion, might be a thought. Just connect into that. So for me, my tiredness, I explored a bit of this on that other page, with frustration, with heaviness. But something else that comes up with that tiredness is, for me, the word that comes up is rest. So remember, there's no rules. It doesn't matter whatever comes up for you. Mine is rest. So that's going to be my focus. So whatever's come up for you, just notice it, acknowledge it. Just get a sip of water. You got anything there, do you? Stay hydrated. Okay, and again, if this, whatever now you're focusing on, this thought, this feeling, this emotion, this word, if it has a colour, explore what that colour would be. So for me, rest feels very sort of soft and calm, so for me, the colours that come to me around that are greens. Green's my favourite colour. It makes me think of nature, so that's probably why. So I've got a couple of greens. Again, work with whatever you've got. This time I think I'm going to use two colours together, so just to double up on the mark making. Doesn't matter if you can't do this. If you can, then have a play with that too. And this time we're just going to begin to focus in on this new energy, in a way, this new feeling, this new thought, this new emotion that's come up. And hopefully now you feel a bit more confident about making these marks on a page. So this thought, this feeling, this emotion, is it big, is it small? It might be tiny, it might be huge, it might fill the whole page, or it might be like a dot in the middle. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it bumpy? Is it a certain shape? Is there a certain pattern to it? Are there just words? Maybe you don't know, and that's okay. Perhaps if you don't know, you can express that on the page. So just see what comes to you, remembering there's no right, there's no wrong. I'm just going to explore what rest means to me by writing the word. I might do a little drawing of a stick person resting. Remembering it doesn't matter what it looks like. I might also think how I'd feel to rest, and it would be nice, flowy, relaxed. Just explore what comes up for you. Making those marks on the page. Just getting playful. And if for you it is simply just making the marks on the page, that's okay too. Now you can think of 3 words that link to this. So for me, when I think rest, I think space, calm, energy. I guess that's because you rest and then you have more energy. So I'm going to just write those words. Space, again, I need to remember them. Energy, space, calm. What words come up for you? And the intention is that by getting this on the page in whatever way, it begins to exit us and our body and our system a bit more. Okay. And just continue, you can add any more colours, just filling that page with any imagery, any shapes, any interesting stick people like I've created. And I think I feel at most rest when I'm in my bed, so I'm going to do a little bed. Okay. Good. You did amazing. You're still with me, keeping this flowing open mind. So we've got quite a selection of, hopefully, of different pages with all these different marks on them. It might be nice for you to reflect on this after the session, to look over what you've created, and there might be some you want to add to and make some more marks. There might be some different feelings and emotions that you explore that come up. Yeah, just see how else you can give things a bit of shape, a bit of physicality, a bit of form in front of you. Okay. So I invite you to close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. And allow this breath to keep coming, your eyes closed, and softening your body that few percent. Now I'd like you to, we're just going to do this short exercise just to end the session. This time I'd like you to use your imagination as best you can, your wonderful imagination, to connect with a place in nature or somewhere you've been or in your imagination that feels really, really good. Somewhere that feels nice, comfortable. Perhaps it's really bright and sunny, perhaps it's nice and calm, but somewhere you feel safe, comfortable. And if that's difficult for you today, at the moment, know that you're not on your own. That happens. And if that is the case, then just take some nice deep breaths, allow yourself just to soften your body, and perhaps just to enter a space of relaxation and connect with this however you can, but don't force it, would be my advice. For those that are able to see and to visualize that place, really let yourself see it. If you're not a visual person, if you're auditory, really hear the sounds perhaps. Maybe there's music, maybe there's a sound of the wind and birds. For those that are more sensory, imagine the touch, the smell. You might be able to do all of those, which is great. But just really let yourself imagine that place of comfort, of safety. And I want you to give it a name. It doesn't have to be smart or clever. It could just be a safe place. It could just be nature, beautiful, warm, whatever it is. And just, again, pick a colour. Probably getting the swing of this now. Pick a colour and just write that name of that place down on the page. If you're worried about using more paper, you could just do this in your mind, or you can do it on one of the previous places. But what would you call that place? I'm calling mine comfort, but it might have an actual geographical name. It might be somewhere, like that you've been to that has a nice feeling for you. I'm going to add woods, actually, because that is my place of comfort, the woods. And I'd like you to really connect with what you're experiencing there. What is it like there? Is it warm, soft? Is it cool, refreshing, comforting? Is it really clean? Is it sort of beautiful chaos? Is it natural? Is it somewhere maybe in a home that's really soft and furnished? Whatever it is, just notice it and just note down a couple of those things, maybe 2 or 3 or more if you want to. So for me, it's spacious, it's green, and it's safe. Okay. Perfect. You can keep the same pen, doesn't matter. And nice deep breath. And how does it feel for you to connect with that place? What does it feel like in your body? What does it help you engage with, help you feel? Does it make your body feel more relaxed? Does it excite you? Maybe it's somewhere that you really like to go. You might feel sort of happy thinking about it. Even if you feel that you can't connect and you feel frustrated, you can work with that. So for me, connecting with this place in nature, comfort and woods, it feels reassuring, feels relaxing, just feels nice. It doesn't have to be smart or clever words. Whatever's coming up for you is perfect. Just trust it. You can let yourself explore that place a bit more, perhaps, in your mind, with your body, your mind, the sensations, senses. Just get really curious about that place. Really notice the colours. If you can, really notice what colours you see, you feel. Okay, so you can open your eyes. We are gonna stop there, but I invite you to carry on with that. So connecting with a safe place is a really nice exercise. We do it a lot in therapeutic sessions, and it's kind of about setting a connection with that safety, that support for you. It's like a grounding. So whenever you feel shaken, unsteady, a bit overwhelmed, whatever it is, you can take a nice deep breath and you can connect to that safe place. And this exercise, I invite you to carry on. So really, any way you can express that safe place for you, that place of comfort, whatever it may be, onto the page, whether it's through words, colours, you might draw what it looks like, which would be amazing. Whatever comes up, what emotions does it bring up in you? Just explore that on this page. Connect with that title of your safe place. The more we give it those descriptions, that physicality, the more you can keep connecting with it. So the more you connect with it, the easier it becomes for you to continue to connect with it when you need to. So if you can check in with your safe place, either through a creative exercise like this, or just through your mind and visualization, or just feeling it in your body, you can do that every day for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It could just be 5 minutes. Then that's okay. That's enough. And then when you have a particularly difficult day, you might find connecting with that safe place is a lot easier. So I encourage you to explore that. I encourage you to continue with the creativity, just making marks on the page, getting a bit playful. There's no rules. I hope that you enjoyed that. I know it can be a bit different for people that aren't used to getting a bit creative in that way, but remembering that creativity is a really big part of well-being, bringing them together, getting a bit playful, going back to our childhood when we used to just make stuff and we didn't care. As adults, we get really caught up in getting things right and perfect. So I'll leave you with some of that creativity in that safe place. I invite you to go really gentle with yourself today, exploring some emotions. Different things might come up. So just if you need to connect with someone, then do that. If you've got any questions about the session, please, I invite you to share them on the comments. Drink plenty of water, take good care of yourself, and I wish you a really nice rest of the week. Thank you for joining me for the session today.